Hey everyone, this is another video about 3D printing. This is a long follow-up on my video of the Chiron, I don't know the name, let's say Chiron, from Anycubic, and this printer is really problematic for me. I have a lot of issues about it. Starting from irregularities of printing. It's like you make a print and you spend a lot of time first to calibrate it. It's somehow okay, and then you try to make another one and it's not working anymore because the bed leveling is not working. So I've tried to replace the bed with some two-sided new surface, a new magnetic bed, and directly on the heat bed, just under that, I remove the ultra basis, which is fine for the first print, but it becomes quickly not sticky anymore, and all the tricks from Anycubic not working again. It's like the settings for the bed leveling are not kept properly. I cannot print a lot regularly. It's like you have to go to the process of recalibrating the printing again and again and again and again, and it would be fine if there was some firmware update, but I have the latest one from Anycubic and there's no update since then. So you can go find some GitHub people are making their own custom firmware, but honestly I'm fed up. I can't anymore. I will try to show you the differences and the issue I have. So this is what I was trying to explain. This is bezel for the TE2 and TE2 Plus. This is something I want to put on my shop more regularly, so I can just put some filament, print a color, and just calling a day. But I cannot because this one was working. It's the one with the powder coated side, so you got a nice finish, you know. So it's really cool. But I print one, I removed from the bed, and then I try to print another one, and this is what I've got. So I have adherence issues for the first layer, and it's chipped really easily. And if you remember the video about 3D printing a joystick, I have the same issue between the layer, and I don't know why. And I've tried to print an MVS case for the open MVS, and I got issue of layering again. I got issue with the bed level, and honestly, since I have the printer, it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse, and I cannot continue like that. I need to have a large printer working. I have a Delta printer which also came from Anycubic, and it's only working properly since I changed the firmware and the community fixed it. So since then it's working way much better. It's fine as it is, but I am really frustrated. I cannot use the large printer as a daily basis as I want. This video is about, as you can see on the title, making an overhaul of the printer, and I'm going to change basically nearly everything inside. So I'm going to change first the Trigorilla inside, so the power board with an SKR2 from BigTreeTech. I'm waiting for the Wi-Fi module because I really wanted to try reprap firmware, but as the moment I'm recording this video, I still haven't got it. You can thanks COVID and shipping from China to Canada. I have a 5-pack of 2209, so I think I'm going to use them in legacy mode. They are the SPI mode, but I need to check exactly how I'm going to use them. I wanted a big screen, but I took the 7 inches one, and it's extremely large. So yeah, I don't know. I was expecting something. I don't know. Honestly, I was like, okay, screw it. Let's take the biggest one. But yeah, it's a 7-inch screen. I need to print an enclosure. As I say on the introduction, the main issue is the bed level is because you got only 4 points to handle the 40 centimeter square bases. If you compare to, let's say, the i3 Prusa MK3, you have, I think it's 9 point of contact for a bed level which is 20 centimeter to 20 centimeter. So I think it's really hard to believe like just 4 points for a very large surface to expecting to stay flat. So I bought some rubber silicone spacer. They are only sold by 4 because I think it's for the CR10 or other Creality printers. So I bought 12 of them, and I'm going to drill the bed with new hole and try to have more point of contact. So I bought that. This is a bed support for the Creality CR10 Max, if I'm not mistaken, and this is something where I will be able to put the support where I can. So at least I should be able to put them somehow like that. I need to find proper spacing, so I will have 3, so it will only bow like that, but I think I'm going to try something like that. I need to check because I will still have some bow, potentially bow here, but this should have better repartition of the surface tension. I don't know if it's the correct word, but should be more stable, and I won't have like a fluctuation on the bed level. What I'm going to try to do is put railings, so they will be something like that on the Chiron and replacing the pulley. So I think as they are not original brand, they're the famous brand, but they are really expensive. This one are clone. Hopefully they should work fine. So yeah, there are only one. What was the name? I don't remember, but it's chariot in French. But there are only one pieces like that, so I will double them like that. So there will be something like that under this big plate, and should replace the current system for the y-axis. I think it's a y, but this one. I'm gonna also put that. So this is something Creality user have, but not on the Chiron. These are cross brace for very high printers, is to avoid like the top is wiggling when you're printing. And finally I'm going to put, so it's not a real one, but I've already tried to replace the extruder, but so this is just a clone of a BMG, you know. So I think it's not on the right side, because you know you get the right side and the left side, and I think for the Chiron you need the left side, and I think it's the right side. But anyway, this is a dual gear extruder. The other one is a clone from the CR10 again. So yeah, I've already replaced the heating block with a G6, where a bit before it was a G5. So it's better for. I think it's also replaced the full metal heat brake. Anyway, this is still all the part I'm going to use. Hopefully I won't damage more the printer than it is. This is going to be my last attempt to make this printer work. If it's not working, I know all those parts. Well, aside from like the rail and stuff, but the most expensive part can be used somewhere else. The thing is, I was expecting for the new Prusa Max, but it's way over my budget. And the other large printer I could see, like the CR10 Max, seems to have problem. Yeah, the first thing is going to disassemble the printer and see how I'm going to fit everything and try to design like an enclosure, of maybe find on the thingiverse an enclosure for the LCD. So let's tear apart this printer. So while I'm trying to print some part for the controller board, let's talk about the dual gear extruder, the Bondtech clone. So the thing is, by default on the Chiron, the extruder motor is somewhere there. The thing is, if I try to put the new extruder, this is the input. This is why you need the reverse extruder, not the normal one. The screw is on the way, so what I'm going to do is just that, somewhere, something like that, or like that, maybe, with the wire here. And then I'm going to put the extruder underneath, so it won't be on the way. The only thing to change will be the sense detector, the filament detector. So I will just flip it and maybe put a new stand. Aside from that, I'll try to open. On the extruder you have your gear from the stepper motor, which will be there. You have to put a gear on the shaft here. So when it goes like that, you get the gear which is going to make contact with there, and you've got your dual gear which is going to put the filament. So the board was like that, with the USB here. If you are familiar with the Trigorilla board, the LCD is more prone to be plugged here, and we've got this adapter, and this is where the SD card and the other stuff from the printing head are connected. So yeah, mostly it is going to be this one. This is the fan control and thermistor, and I think at the end stop from the printing head. So I will confirm by testing with a multimeter and make a schema. Maybe someone already did that, but I will have to unplug everything here and find the equivalents on the BigTreeTech SKR board. I need to confirm because I have two plugs. We got two plugs here, but I will update. I will put somewhere in a picture after testing. But this, I'm pretty sure this is going to be on the 18 element one, which is going to be there, somewhere like that. This is going to be the heating element here. Fan 1, fan 2, need to confirm the polarity is good. This is going to be there and there, so this is already GST pH, so this is fine. So this one is done, this one is done, this one is done, this one is done also. We've got the driver, connection to the driver to the motor, so this is going to be there. And I have still the bed, which is going to be there, thermistor of the bed there, the screen, so I'm not going to reuse that obviously. You have only a small hole here to pass the screen connection, and since they are flattened ribbon cable, so they are not going through. There's also the bed, because it's plugged directly there, and maybe I'm going to add there or there somewhere to plug the bed, because if you want to remove the bed for any maintenance or to change it, you have to open this, and I found that kind of stupid. Another thing is, I'm pretty sure the wire used are 14 gauge, and since this, from I understood, this is drawing at least 20 amps. Maybe I'm going to put something a little more beefy, which is 12 gauge. I'm going to replace the connection to the bed. One thing also to decide is where I'm going to put the board, because this is not the same size, the output ports are not on the same spot. Something like that will be cool. This will ask me to cut for the USB and enlarge slightly here to at least have the SD card accessible. I will also find a way to cool down the driver for the stepper motor, but again, I have nothing there, so maybe making a hole. For the power supply, you can change that because this is supposedly rated for 1000 watts in 24 volt, but it's not a mean well, so I'm pretty sure this is absolutely not 1000 watts. The way it is done, as you can see, the way it is done, you've got a plug for an external PSU, and this is what's powering the board. So the main switch here just alimenting the PSU just for the bed, and this is for the controller board. So you are supposed to be able to handle everything with just the power supply, but again, I've read some forum people have issue with this power supply. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to replace the fan with a silent, what I could find in silent, because the one I wanted, it's a Pabst. It's not available right now, thank you pandemic, and I found another one, so it should be okay. But if everything is going fine, especially on the bed, if I don't destroy anything, if I don't have to put money again inside this 3D printer, I may replace it. So I know there's a mean well inside the Creality CR10 Max, which is 24 volts and 750 watts, but there's another one 100 watts I think from Realware, which is around 150 Canadian bucks. Again, this is pretty pricey. Before the pandemic it was really cheaper, but well, so maybe I'm going to replace it, but for the time I will keep this one. Next step, find an adapter or making one, and making schematic for decomposing this one. Finally managed to print a part here for the SKR2, not the prettiest, but it should be okay. I'm still missing the nerd insert here to fix it, and I have one hole here which is not aligned, but now I should be able to put the board here, mostly to make the emplacement to cut and have the USB port accessible, and maybe also here make a hole or notch somewhere leading the hot air from the driver here. Speaking of the driver, with the height of the adapter, which is, I think it's 6 millimeters, if I put the heatsink, it's too high and I cannot close. It doesn't fit from a few millimeters. So either put some smaller heatsink, which I'm not confident since they are 2209 and they are pretty hot when they are working. The other one would be to cut all those stands. I need to find if they are threaded all the way, because if I cut them for a few millimeters and they are not threaded, well, it's just going to be some not usable to screw the adapter. I think it's something I want to do because, as I said, I'm not really confident to change the size of the heatsink. So anyway, even if it's lower, the thing is I have enough wire for the heatsink, the heating element. For the fan, no problem. For the relay, for the heat bed, no problem for those one. It's more complicated for the connection to the stepper motor, because it's like really too short. So we'll have to make some new cable. Those are GST X-Hash, I think. So it's 2.5 millimeter spacing row. This one, as I said on the previous section of the video, I have all the pinout, but they are more for the end stop, the probe for the bed leveling and the filament sensor. So they will be eventually here, mostly there. So I will make the cable again. Those are GST. I think they are GST. I think those one are GST PH, so a 2 millimeter spacing row. So I may have to make a special one with here on GST PH and the outside with XH, probably with piggyback to get the ground and plus 5 volt and etc. So yeah, I have 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 cable to redo, because even this one, so this is the Z right, if I'm not mistaken. Even the Z right is pretty far, and I won't have enough cable, so maybe like reuse this one for there. But so yeah, let's continue. It's a bit of a mess, but I made some progress. So I have to reprint my support, and I cut here for the USB. Made some mistake, unfortunately, so the stand is going here. Then you put the board here. I'm slightly offset because I'm stupid and I cannot make proper mats. I've got a bit confused because the way the Chiron is working, you've got two Z for each side, but they are not linked to the Z. So this is the Trigorilla here, and you got the two Z here, but in fact you're using E1 and another Z. The reason is, from my understanding, is when you put the two Z's, those two are linked, you cannot handle the difference between the two different Z. So that's why they're using the driver for E1. This is not labeled like that inside. If you check there, you've got, not sure you're going to see, but you got Z left here for the stop, and here you got the Z right, but it's not linked like that. The Z, which is called the Z left, is going from the end stop to the splitter board, and then with this cable is going there to the end stop there. But the end stop for the other side, which is the Z right, is not used here. It's going directly from the end stop, and it's linked there on the what it's called, yeah, auxiliary here. And then you here on the other auxiliary you get the Y stop. It's kind of confusing because you still have here the wire for the Z right. I don't know how I'm going to link that. It's confusing, man. It's like I've tried to start to put labels like fan 2, fan 0, so E0 for the extruder, but the thing is you have to say it, so it's still writing Z, but I'm going to just mark it at Z left, so it's going to use the Z left stop like there. The other is going to be Z right, and then starting from that I'm going to see how I'm going to plug there. I've already started to make cables, so this is for the thermistor 0, so it's going to be there. The other cable are going to be probably for, if I'm going to use the Z stop, let's say, to the splitter board here, or directly Z stop left. So either Z stop here, maybe here for the E1 stop. I think this one is for the probe, and then I've got the X end stop, and then we got the filament detection, which will be in E0. So this is just temporarily set to explain how I'm going to wire and replace the large here on the splitter board. So you've got the X stop, the filament detection on the E0. Here is going to be either a Z stop right or Z stop left. I will have to check. There you're going to be the end stop right, and we got the thermistors 0 from the other printing. So it should be something like that. Well, you have to add, of course, the fan from the splitter. I cannot do another way because it's from the upper part of the Chiron. We've got the here for the heating element, here for the relay, and then of course you got your link from to the stepper motor. So Z is going to be either E1 or Z. We got E0, which is there, I think. You got the X, which is coming from the splitter board, and then you got the Y. There, if you have a Chiron, you got the power brick here. You got the the wire coming from the second Z and the Y going directly there. So it's going to be more cable management at this point. How I'm going to tie them, how I'm going to link them. I really recommend you to put label on your cable, because while you're going to translate between the Chiron to the SKR, you are going to lose, because the color of the cable, the way it's the nomenclature, they are very different. So as you can see, I've printed the SKR2 with trying to check what I'm going to see to need, and this is the Trigorilla with the color of each wire and how it's linked and stuff like that. So I'm going to put images on the description because it's kind of tricky to find them. Let's recap the wiring. This is the schematic from the i3 Mega Trigorilla, but this is close enough for the Chiron. The connection to the stepper motor are here for X, here for Y, and here for the first Z left. E0 here from the extruder, and E1 for the Z right. The Z left motor is close to the extruder, box, alimentation, and power cable. The Y and E1 to Y motor and Z right motor are linked directly with the cable coming next from the power brick. Z to Z left directly, while the two left, X and E0, are coming from the black ribbon cable. Speaking of the ribbon cable, on the right of this picture you can see its pinout from the small splitter PCB. The gray wire is the number 1 and is the Z right end stop. The number 2 is Z left. Remember that the Z left end stop is used on the splitter PCB, where the Z right end stop is not used. It's coming directly from the cable next to the power brick. Then the filament sensor detection, the +5 volt, the ground, the temperature sensor T0, the probing sensor for the bed leveling, and finally the X end stop. Then the ribbon is connected to a small PCB where the TFT screen, the SD card, and the speaker are connected. So here where they are connected to the Trigorilla board. Z right end stop is linked to the Z plus, pin D19. Z left end stop is linked to the Z minus, pin D18. The filament sensor is linked to the pin D33 of the XP2 port. 5 volt and ground are being pulled from the 2IC port. Temp sensor T0 from the printing head is linked to the T0 of the board. And note that the small PCB of the Chiron has also a plug for the temp bed sensor T1 linked to T1. Finally, the bed probing is linked to the X plus, and the end stop is linked to the X minus. If you still following from there, you would realize that there's neither Y or E1 for their respective end stop. Well, like their connection to the stepper motor driver, they are linked directly to the auxiliary 2, pin D43 for the Y end stop with only ground since it's a mechanical switch, and pin D42 with +5 volt and ground since on the current this is an optical switch. Fan 0 is for the part cooling. Don't do like me, we use it for the heatsink cooling. Most slicers are using by default Fan 0 for the cooling part. Fan 2 is for the heatsink cooling. Then you have to use the terminal to link the power brick to the 5A board. Heating element is on D10, and the relay thingy for the bed heating is linked on heater 1 D45. Now we know everything, it's easy to transfer to our brand new SKR2 board. The Z left end stop will be linked to the E1 det or E1 detection. Of course, since it's coming directly from the splitter PCB, you can choose either to use Z right or Z left, but just be consistent on what you're choosing. In order to stay somehow close of the original wiring of the Chiron, I choose Z left end stop for our E1 stepper motor. Filament sensor detection will be on E0 det. Ground and +5 volt can be pulled from any of the end stop. You can use from E1 det, but it doesn't really matter. I could use X stop, for example. T0 will be linked to TH0PA2. The bed leveling probe will be probe PO4, and the X end stop will be linked to X stop. Now we can link the rest of the wires. Y end stop will be linked directly to the Y stop. Same for the D right end stop to Z stop. Stepper motor X and extruder 0 will be coming from the splitter PCB, while the Y motor and Z right motor are linked directly similar to their respective end stop. Z left motor is also linked directly. Then you link the bed temp sensor TB-PA1, the bed relay HE1 PB4, the heating element 0 from the printing head, HE0PB3, the fan 0 for the cooling part, and the fan 2 for the heatsink, and finally link the 24 power brick to the DC in. Remember to set the jumper next to the Wi-Fi module on VDD. You can plug the XP1, the XP2 and TFT for your screen. In this current mod I link all the 25 connection just in case I have to go back with Marlin and keep the ability to switch between classic display and TFT display. But if you only plan to use RepRap, you can just link the TFT. Now I need to find a way to make a proper cooling system for the driver, so I print this. Again, it's ugly. I really need another printer to fix my current printer. So anyway, don't pay attention. It's really ugly. It doesn't matter. You're not going to see it. But this is Fanduct. I settled down for the 40mm fan because the 50 is a bit too big. So I just a vent going on top of the driver, right between the stepper motor connection and here for the sensorless homing, but it doesn't matter here. Still have to drill here the bed connection with the thermistor. Thing is, I really want to have an easy access to remove the bed if I damage it or if I want to replace it or anywhere, and I don't want to open it up. The goal is I'm closing this and I don't want to touch anything. If I need to touch, it's outside. The thing is, from what I read, is the bed is pulling up, I think it's 20 amps, so it's really difficult to find a connector rated for 20 amps. So I'm going to use this one. I can't remember the name. This is something to handle battery on RC card and RC stuff. So I'm going to use this and for the heating part. So maybe I'm going to put it on the back somewhere there. I don't know. This is maybe I'm going to print something to have somewhere better way so I can screw that. And for the thermistor, it's pretty easy. I was looking for complicated way find a connector, but I'm just going to use a jack. This is a jack TRS, so tip, ring and sleeve. This is a 3 points for stereo. I don't really need stereo, but I will have the 2 connector and just 1 wire, so maybe for, I don't know if I need to go around or anything, but at least 2 will be just fine. So since it's the frame for the frame here is really thin, it's aluminum, I'm going to just screw. I will just drill a hole, and this will be just fine for the thermistor. Again, this is going to be on the back. I don't know where. It will be eventually next to this. So I will have the 2 connector on the back. It will be good. I will find a way to put it. So this to drill. Find a way to hold that. Find a placement for this. And I think this will be that for the connection. I'm not sure I'm going to put a connection for the cable, which is going from there, which is Y stop, Y stepper motor, the other X and the other X stepper motor. They're all going from there. So I can just keep the ability to remove the top of the Chiron, and being really similar from what it's in its default state. I think we just going like that and go as fast as possible now, because we still have to install the firmware, and I still haven't resaved my my Wi-Fi module, so I'm not sure I'm going to do RepRap. Hopefully it should go here before I finish everything, but yeah, next step, drill, and there. I think I've made all the modification I needed for the back here a 3D printed part to put the plug and the jack. I may make some modification for the STL I'm going to publish, slightly moved, and maybe a bit of inset for the ring, so it can be easier to tie. So yeah, this is going to be the probe with the plug here, and here I'm going to have the bed. As you can see, I've also cut there. This is for the screen. I'm going to use this 25 dB connector. You can see you got the two connectors for the screen and one for the TFT, and I'm going to put them like that with two screws. And when I'm going to put the rest, this is going to be something like that with all the plug here. The goal is to have a cable like that with all the connection to the screen. So we will have another DB on the screen side. So if I want to change or move or unplug, I will have just one plug to remove. So basically everything which is on the basis of the Chiron, you will be directly wire on the box, and everything which can be unplugged or removed, so like the arch where their head is moving, and the screen could be detached, well, you will have a plug. So I think I'm ready to put everything. Still missing here the stand-up, so maybe put temporary ones from something else. I think I have like DB15 joystick port somewhere, so I couldn't reuse them, so I couldn't just forget that and buy later on the stand-off, because once I'm going to put that correctly here and then put the stand, I won't have access underneath.